Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the physical world? What if I told you that everything you've ever known, life, death, time, and existence itself, is just part of a much larger hidden truth? Imagine, for a moment, that everything you've been taught about life and death is only scratching the surface. What if there was more, so much more, waiting for you to uncover? Today, we'll dive deep into the mysteries of existence, exploring the hidden truths that connect life, death, and everything in between. But here's the thing, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is a journey of awakening, an awakening to your true nature and to the reality that lies just beneath the surface of everyday life. You see, most of us go through life unaware of the vastness that surrounds us. We get caught up in the small, daily struggles, work, relationships, and the endless pursuit of success. But beneath it all, there's an undercurrent, a deeper force that moves through us, through every living thing, connecting us all. What if you could tap into that force? What if you could understand the purpose of your existence, the true meaning behind the cycle of life and death, and how you fit into the grand design of the universe? This video has the potential to change your life, but only if you experience it the right way. It's not about just watching, it's about feeling. I urge you, put on your headphones, lie down in a quiet place, and open your heart and mind to what's about to unfold. But if you came here expecting something just to watch, this might not be for you. This isn't entertainment. It's a journey meant for those who are ready to see life from a new perspective. If you're not serious, you're free to leave now. But if you're ready, what you're about to experience could shift your thinking and your life forever. The hidden truth about life, death, and everything in between begins with one essential realization. Consciousness, our awareness of the world, of ourselves, and of each other, is not confined to the physical body. It's a force that transcends time and space, extending far beyond the boundaries of what we can see, touch, or measure. But to truly understand this truth, we must first ask a fundamental question. What is life, and what happens when it ends? For centuries, humans have grappled with the concept of life and death. Ancient civilizations across the world shared stories, beliefs, and practices surrounding the afterlife. Egyptians built tombs, Greeks sought wisdom from their philosophers, and Eastern traditions like Buddhism and Hinduism explored the endless cycles of birth, death, and reincarnation. In each of these traditions, there's a common thread. Life and death are not separate events, but parts of a greater interconnected process, a cosmic dance that unfolds across infinite dimensions. But in modern times, especially in the West, we've been taught to think of life and death as opposites, two distinct events that happen one after the other. Life is something we cherish, something to be lived fully. Death is something to be feared, something that marks an end. This perception has led us to disconnect from deeper questions. What if death isn't an end at all? What if it's simply a transition, a shift to another form of existence? To explore this, let's take a moment to reflect on something that's universally experienced but rarely understood. Consciousness. We know that consciousness is the very thing that gives us awareness, the thing that allows us to think, feel, and make sense of the world around us. But scientists, philosophers, and spiritual leaders all agree on one thing. We don't yet fully understand the nature of consciousness. Despite all our advancements in neuroscience and psychology, there's still no definitive explanation of how consciousness arises or where it goes when we die. And that's where things get really interesting. Consider near-death experiences, NDEs, phenomena that have been reported by thousands of people across different cultures and belief systems. Time and time again, individuals who have experienced NDEs describe vivid, transformative journeys beyond the physical world. Some report traveling through a tunnel of light, meeting loved ones who have passed, or even encountering beings of light that offer wisdom and guidance. These experiences suggest that consciousness exists independently of the body, that when we die, our awareness doesn't simply cease. Instead, it appears to continue on in some form. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what does all of this really mean for me? Well, here's the thing. Understanding the true nature of consciousness, and by extension, life and death, can radically change how we live. When you begin to realize that consciousness isn't confined to the body, that it's a timeless, eternal force, your perspective shifts. You start to see the interconnectedness of all things, the way everything in the universe is part of a vast, intricate web of energy and awareness. This realization has profound implications, not just for how we view life and death, but for how we live our lives every single day. It challenges us to rethink what it means to be alive. Are we merely bodies, functioning in a world of random events? Or are we conscious beings, part of something much greater, something eternal, something connected to the vast mysteries of the universe? By the end of this journey, I hope you'll come to understand that the truths of life, death, and everything in between are not just abstract concepts. They're real, tangible forces that influence our lives in ways we might never have considered. And once we begin to recognize the deeper hidden truths, we unlock the potential for greater awareness, spiritual growth, and self-empowerment. So let's pause for a moment and reflect. What if everything you've believed about life, death, and consciousness was just a starting point? What if the real truth is so much bigger than you've ever imagined? In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into these questions. We'll explore the scientific, philosophical, and spiritual perspectives on consciousness and examine how these insights can help us navigate the greatest mystery of all, the cycle of life and death. Stay with me as we explore this profound journey together, because the more we understand about the hidden truths of existence, the more empowered we become to shape our lives, our destinies, and our connection to the universe itself. To truly understand the hidden truth about life, death, and everything in between, we must first let go of the notion that we, as human beings, are solely confined to the physical body. When we do, something extraordinary happens. Our understanding of reality shifts, and we begin to recognize that consciousness is far more expansive than we ever imagined. The boundaries of life and death blur, and what we thought were two separate phases of existence begin to reveal themselves as interconnected parts of an endless journey. One of the most profound ways to explore this concept is by diving into the idea of spiritual consciousness, the awareness that extends beyond the ego, beyond the self, and into a vast, unified field of existence. In this state, we begin to experience life from a higher perspective, seeing ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as part of an interconnected web of consciousness that spans across time, space, and dimensions. This shift in perspective allows us to see life and death not as opposing forces, but as cyclical events that work in harmony to propel our souls forward. But how do we come to understand this interconnectedness? How do we open ourselves to the truth that life is not a singular journey, but part of a continuous, infinite process? Let's start by considering the nature of time. Time, as we experience it, is linear. We perceive it as a series of moments, each following the other in a steady progression. Our lives unfold in this linear timeline, and we often think of death as the final moment in that timeline, the endpoint, the finish line. However, this linear view of time is merely a construct of our limited perception. In reality, time, as understood by quantum physicists and spiritual teachers alike, is far more fluid and malleable than we think. What if time wasn't a straight line at all, but a spiral, an ongoing cycle that loops back on itself, allowing for endless possibilities and reincarnations? This concept of cyclical time is echoed in many ancient traditions. The Hindu philosophy of samsara, for example, teaches that life and death are part of an eternal cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Every soul goes through a series of lives, each one bringing lessons, growth, and transformation. Death, in this context, is not the end, but merely a transition from one form of existence to another. It is a necessary part of the soul's journey toward enlightenment. Similarly, the concept of reincarnation, found in many other cultures, suggests that our consciousness is not bound by the physical body, and that after we die, we are reborn into new lives, taking with us the wisdom and experiences from our previous ones. This idea is deeply rooted in the belief that life itself is an ongoing, ever-evolving process, and that death is merely a door that leads to another chapter in our soul's journey. But let's pause here and consider something more personal, something that might resonate with you. Have you ever experienced a sense of déjà vu, a feeling that you've lived through a moment before? Perhaps it was a conversation, a place, or a particular emotion that seemed oddly familiar. Many people experience these moments, and they often chalk it up to coincidence or a trick of the mind. But what if these sensations are more than just fleeting glimpses of memory? What if they are echoes of past lives, memories of experiences you've had before, that your soul is bringing to the surface in order to help you understand your purpose in this life? There are countless anecdotal accounts of people remembering past lives. One of the most famous examples comes from Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist who spent decades researching cases of children who recall specific details of past lives. Many of these children could describe places they had never been, people they had never met, and events that had occurred long before they were born. Some even carried with them physical markings or birth defects that corresponded with injuries sustained in those past lives. These cases provide compelling evidence that consciousness may not be confined to a single lifetime. But what does this mean for the nature of death? If consciousness is indeed eternal, then death is not a final end, but a natural transition. It's like stepping through a door to the next phase of existence. And while this might sound comforting to some, it's also a radical shift in our understanding of what it means to be alive. Consider, for example, the experiences of people who have had near-death experiences, NDEs. These individuals report profound shifts in their consciousness when they come close to dying. Many describe a feeling of floating outside their bodies, encountering deceased loved ones, or even traveling through a tunnel toward a bright light. Some report experiencing a life review, where they relive moments from their life, feeling the emotions and actions they caused others to experience. This phenomenon has been documented across cultures and religions, suggesting that it's not just a product of the brain, but a universal experience. One of the most powerful aspects of these NDEs is the overwhelming sense of peace and love that individuals often report feeling. Despite the fear and anxiety they may have had about dying beforehand, these experiences offer a profound sense of comfort and assurance. Death, they find, is not something to fear. It's a transition to a greater, more expansive reality. It's a return to a place of love, unity, and understanding. And this understanding is transformative. People who have experienced NDEs often report a dramatic shift in their perspectives on life. They become more compassionate, more loving, and less attached to material possessions or ego-driven desires. They realize that life is not about achieving external success, but about growing spiritually, embracing love, and contributing to the greater good. Now, let's bring this back to you, the viewer. You may not have had a near-death experience, or perhaps you don't consciously remember any past lives, but that doesn't mean you aren't part of this grand, interconnected web of consciousness. The truth is, we are all connected, whether through shared experiences, common emotions, or even a collective soul. You are not isolated in your journey through life. You are part of something far greater than yourself, and understanding this truth can be profoundly liberating. It shifts the way we approach life and death, not as separate events, but as parts of an ongoing infinite cycle that we are all a part of. To fully grasp this, We must go beyond the surface of reality and look deeper into the unseen forces that shape our existence. Whether through the lens of spirituality, quantum physics, or the wisdom of ancient traditions, the message is clear. Life, death, and everything in between are not as disconnected as we once believed. Instead, they are intricately woven together, forming a tapestry that spans across time, space, and consciousness itself. Now, we arrive at a pivotal moment, a turning point in our journey of understanding. Up until now, we've explored the interconnectedness of life and death, the idea that consciousness transcends the physical body, and how time itself is not as linear as we believe. But there's one revelation that, once it clicks, will shift everything you think you know about existence. This revelation isn't just a theory. It's not something you read in a book or hear from a guru. It's a truth you already carry within you, waiting to be unlocked. Are you ready for it? Here it is. Death is not the end. It is, in fact, a doorway to a higher reality, a transformation of consciousness that is every bit as natural as waking from a dream. Now, take a moment to let that sink in. We've been conditioned to fear death. It's the ultimate unknown, the one thing that none of us can escape. But what if that fear is a distraction, an illusion built upon centuries of misunderstanding? What if death is actually the most profound and liberating experience of all? Think of it this way. Your entire life, you've been living as though you're a character in a story, and your body is the vehicle through which that story unfolds. You experience the highs and lows, the twists and turns, the challenges and triumphs. But here's the twist. Your body is not you. It's just the vehicle. You, the consciousness, the essence of who you are, cannot die. You are eternal. Consider, for a moment, the millions of stories throughout history of people who have had near-death experiences, NDEs as they're called. While their bodies temporarily ceased to function, their consciousness continued. In these moments, individuals report experiences that challenge everything we think we know about the afterlife. Some describe feelings of peace, others talk about seeing loved ones or encountering a brilliant light. But perhaps most striking of all are the countless accounts of people who come back from these experiences completely transformed, changed in ways they could never have imagined. What these experiences reveal is profound. Death isn't the end of consciousness. It's the shedding of a limited perspective. It's like removing a pair of glasses that were fogging up your view, suddenly allowing you to see clearly. It's as though the consciousness, which was once bound by the constraints of the physical body, is now free to experience a higher state of awareness, a state of being that transcends time, space, and even the concept of self. And what if we told you that this experience isn't reserved only for those who are close to death? What if this level of awareness, this shift in perception, is available to all of us right now? Imagine being able to tap into a part of yourself that knows no limits, a consciousness that is eternal, connected to everything and free of fear. What would it mean for your life if you could access this deeper truth on a daily basis? The truth is, many spiritual traditions, whether it's Buddhism, Hinduism, or ancient Egyptian teachings, have hinted at this concept for centuries. They've suggested that the soul is eternal, that we are more than just our bodies, and that death is simply a transition to another stage of existence. But here's the kicker. It's not just about what happens after we die. It's about what happens when we begin to live from this awareness. You see, most of us go through life on autopilot. We make choices based on fear, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of death itself. We live our lives as though time is running out, pushing us to achieve, to succeed, to prove our worth. But what if we stopped living from fear and started living from a place of deep understanding? What if we knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that we are eternal beings, incapable of true harm, and that death is merely a transition, not an end? This shift in perspective has the power to transform everything. It changes the way we view our relationships, our work, and even our struggles. We stop seeing life as something to control, and instead begin to see it as a journey of discovery, an unfolding process where every challenge, every heartbreak, and every triumph is part of a larger cosmic plan. This is the turning point, the revelation that will change how you approach life, death, and everything in between. When you begin to see yourself as eternal, when you realize that you are not bound by the limitations of the body, something profound shifts within you. The fear of death begins to dissipate, and with it, a sense of peace emerges, peace that comes from knowing that you are always connected to the source of all life, and that you are part of something far greater than you could ever fully comprehend. But this shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, one that requires openness, surrender, and a willingness to question everything you think you know. But once you begin to see through this new lens, you'll start to notice the subtle ways that the universe reveals itself to you. You'll begin to see the interconnectedness of all things, the synchronicities, the signs, the whispers of truth that come to you when you least expect them. And here's the most incredible part. As you continue on this journey, you'll begin to notice that you're not alone. You are part of a vast, interconnected network of consciousness that spans across time, space, and dimensions. You are not just one individual life. You are part of a greater collective, an eternal soul, experiencing life through countless perspectives, all leading to the same ultimate truth. So, what does this mean for you? It means that you are the key to unlocking the hidden truths of life, death, and everything in between. You have within you the power to access a deeper, more profound level of awareness, one that will change the way you experience the world. But it's up to you to step through the door of understanding, to embrace the mystery, and to live your life as the eternal, infinite being you truly are. This is the turning point, the moment where you begin to realize that the truth is already within you. All that's left is to embrace it. Now that we've explored the hidden truths about life, death, and consciousness, it's time to address the question that many of us have been waiting for. What can we do with this knowledge? How can we apply it to our own lives and begin to live in alignment with this deeper understanding? The answer lies not in something grand or distant, but in the simple, everyday choices we make. The key to living a more enlightened life, one that embraces the mysteries of existence rather than fears them, lies in how we shift our perception of reality. When we begin to understand that we are not our bodies, but rather eternal consciousness, we gain access to a new way of being. And it is this shift in perspective that empowers us to live with greater intention, peace, and purpose. The first solution is to live fully in the present moment. When we recognize that time is not as fixed as we once thought, we begin to realize that the present is where all power lies. The past is a collection of memories, and the future, though it holds potential, is still unwritten. The only reality we can truly access is right now. Living in the moment means letting go of fear and anxiety about the future, and regret and guilt about the past. It's about being mindful of our thoughts, emotions, and actions in the here and now. This can be achieved through practices like mindfulness meditation, breathing exercises, or simply making a conscious effort to fully experience each moment as it unfolds. When we become present, we stop focusing on doing and start focusing on being. We cultivate a sense of peace that arises from understanding that, at a deeper level, we are connected to everything and everyone. This peace is not tied to external circumstances, but to the awareness that, in this moment, we are whole and complete. The second solution is perhaps the most challenging, but also the most liberating. Let go of the fear of death. Death, as we've learned, is not an end. It's a transition, a shift in consciousness. When we stop viewing death as something to fear, we free ourselves from the limitations that fear places on our lives. How do we begin to release this fear? It starts with changing the way we think about death. Instead of fearing the unknown, we can embrace it as an opportunity for growth and evolution. There are many ways to begin this process. For some, this might mean exploring spiritual practices or philosophies that align with the idea of an eternal soul, such as studying Eastern philosophies like Buddhism or practicing mindfulness in the face of mortality. For others, it may mean engaging in deep self-reflection, meditating on the nature of life and death, or even reading about the experiences of others who have had NDEs or spiritual awakenings. As you come to understand that death is simply a shift in consciousness, it loses its power to control you. In fact, it becomes an invitation to live more fully. The more we let go of our fear of death, the more we embrace the beauty and sacredness of life. The third solution is to cultivate spiritual awareness. This doesn't necessarily mean adopting any one religion or set of beliefs, but rather opening ourselves up to the spiritual dimensions of existence. Spirituality, in this context, is the recognition that we are more than just our physical bodies. We are part of a larger universal consciousness. We are connected to each other, to the earth, and to the cosmos in ways that transcend the material world. Spiritual awareness can be cultivated through a variety of practices. Meditation, for example, helps quiet the mind and connect us to a deeper sense of self. Journaling can help us explore our beliefs and thoughts, while time spent in nature can remind us of the interconnectedness of all life. For many, prayer or spiritual rituals provide a sense of connection to the divine or the universe. As we nurture this awareness, we begin to feel more in tune with the world around us. We begin to see life not as a series of isolated events, but as part of a greater interconnected whole. This perspective can lead to profound shifts in how we approach our relationships, our work, and our sense of purpose. Finally, the fourth solution is to live with purpose and intent. When we realize that life is not a random series of events, but a process of spiritual evolution, we begin to recognize the importance of living with intention. Every choice we make, every action we take, has the potential to either align us with our higher purpose or pull us further away from it. Living with purpose means being clear about what truly matters to you. It means understanding your values and allowing them to guide your decisions. Whether it's contributing to a cause you care about, pursuing a career that aligns with your passion, or building meaningful relationships, living with purpose allows you to live more fully and authentically. When we approach life with intention, we start to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. We recognize that every experience, no matter how difficult, is part of the larger journey of our soul. And when we align our actions with our higher purpose, we begin to experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. As we come to the end of this section, I want you to take a moment to reflect on these solutions. They are not about achieving perfection or solving every problem in your life. They are about shifting your perspective, embracing the deeper truths of existence, and living in alignment with your true eternal self. By embracing the present, letting go of fear, cultivating spiritual awareness, and living with purpose, you step into a reality where life and death are no longer opposing forces, but two parts of a greater interconnected whole. The hidden truths about existence are not meant to be feared. They are meant to be lived. And once you begin to live in this way, you will discover that everything, from the smallest moment to the most profound experience, carries the potential to awaken you to a deeper, more expansive reality. A reality where life is not just about survival, but about thriving, evolving, and realizing the limitless potential of your soul. As we come to the end of this journey together, it's time to revisit the central truth we've uncovered. You are not your body, and death is not the end. This is a truth that transcends all cultures, all religions, and all philosophies. It is a universal reality that lies at the heart of our existence, and it is a truth that, when fully embraced, can set you free from the limitations of fear and doubt. Throughout this exploration, we've seen how the boundaries of life and death are not as fixed as they seem. Time, too, is not as linear as we once thought. Consciousness, the essence of who we are, stretches beyond the physical realm, beyond this moment, beyond this life. When we recognize this, when we understand that we are eternal beings, everything changes. We begin to see life from a perspective of unity, peace, and purpose. You may be wondering, what does this mean for my daily life? How can I integrate this understanding into the reality I face every day? The answer is simple. Live with intention. Live with presence. Live with the awareness that the fears and doubts you hold about life, death, and your own potential are not the whole story. There is so much more beneath the surface of your reality than meets the eye. When you allow yourself to see life as a continuous journey of growth, transformation, and consciousness expansion, you step into your true power. This is the power of knowing that death is not something to fear, but something to embrace, a part of the cosmic dance of existence. And with this understanding, you can move through life with more courage, more compassion, and a deeper sense of peace. The first step toward this transformation is to embrace the present moment. Stop living in the past or the future and start experiencing the fullness of now. Every moment is a gift, a chance to align with the greater truth of who you are. By living mindfully, you can unlock a sense of peace and gratitude that shifts your entire perspective on life. Second, as we've discussed, you must let go of the fear of death. Death does not define you. It is simply a transition, one of many in an infinite series of transformations. When you release the fear that has been ingrained in you for so long, you free yourself to live authentically, without the weight of uncertainty holding you back. This brings us to the most important takeaway. You have the power to shape your reality. Not only are you the creator of your experiences, but you are also a part of something much greater, a universal consciousness that connects everything and everyone. When you recognize this, you begin to see your life as a canvas waiting for your unique expression. Your thoughts, intentions, and actions create ripples that reverberate throughout the universe. So ask yourself, what do I want to create with my life? How do I want to live, knowing that my consciousness is eternal? The possibilities are endless. The potential within you is limitless. You have the ability to choose how you respond to the challenges, the changes, and the uncertainties that arise in your life. The power lies within you, and with this knowledge, you can step into your highest potential. Before we conclude, I want to leave you with one final thought. The answers to life's deepest questions do not come from external sources. They don't come from books, teachers, or even the latest scientific discoveries. The answers lie within you. Your consciousness, your awareness, is the key to unlocking the mysteries of existence. When you align with this inner truth, you begin to understand that you are not separate from the universe. You are one with it. Death is not the end. Life is not just about surviving. You are a timeless being on a never-ending journey of growth, evolution, and awakening. Every moment, every experience, and every challenge is part of your path, and each one brings you closer to a deeper understanding of who you really are. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. You are eternal. You are infinite. And the life you live is a gift that can be fully embraced, fully experienced, and fully understood when you step into the awareness of your true nature. Now more than ever is the time to live with courage, live with purpose, and live with the knowing that the greatest truths of life are not hidden. They are waiting for you to discover.